Peace, everybody. You're listening to the Classroom and the Cell podcast. This is your brother, Marc Lamont Hill, and with me is...
Dr. Mumia Abu Jamal.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
How you, man?
I'm good, man. It's Friday, and I'm trying to think about the weekend and what I'm going to do. And I was thinking about you again. I was like, what does somebody like Mumia do for, if there's such a thing, escape, relaxation, mental well-being? You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times we talk about the heavy stuff, but people got to know that you don't just think about saving the world and solving all the problems and reading Fanon 24/7, maybe 23/7, but not 24/7.
23 and a half, but well, you know, I used to have, and I did this for years. I'd be hard and study during the week, and on the weekend was my time for art. And I believe this firmly, that art makes us human. You know, art is our way of sharing with other human beings, you know, what we see, what we feel, what we hope, you know, what we aspire, and what moves us. And so I would get out my paints and do watercolor.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
Now, I did this for my kids, of course, because, you know, they have birthdays and all that, and I would make a card for them and stuff like that, and other family members. And when I was painting, time dropped away. It was like an escape into a whole nother world, and it was a brilliant way of escape, you know, because before you knew it, the day was gone, and you had created a little piece of art that could touch the heart of someone you love. And you know, the same thing when I began to learn music and when I did, you know, other forms of art. You know, for me, of course, writing is an art. You know, that's probably my primary art form. But I had to find other ways of art to express something in a different medium.
The art, the visual art kind of made sense to me, right? And I have been one of the people blessed, as have my children and other people, to receive hand-painted postcards from you. You know, where you would write, you wouldn't just write letters. You would put
a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Mahanoy. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
You wouldn't just make a postcard, send a letter. You would make like your own kind of postcard, a greeting card. I mean, you sent me stuff for birthdays with these beautiful images of like black folk who, you know, throughout history. I mean, it was incredible to see. The music part is a little bit hard for me to wrap my head around. How do you get into music while incarcerated?
Well, when I was up at Death Row on Green, there was a beautiful older sister from Pittsburgh. This sister, in her younger years, was a member of the Republic of New Africa. And, you know, she grew up as a young woman as a concert pianist. And she was visiting, and it was her and another sister. And the other sister actually offered her services. And I was like, I will be your humble student if you can teach me how to read music, because I love music, but I never learned how to read. She said, well, I've only taught children, but I guess you could learn as well. So this sister, she came up, and she had flashcards, and we did the scales, and she reached...
Was she humming the notes or something? Like, how did you hear the note? Like, how did you know what a C was?
Well, I could hold the note because I didn't know what the note was, but we would do you know, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and then go upper or lower, and
Oh, man, hold on. You can't just do that and just think I'm gonna let that go. You ain't just holding notes, man. You hit them notes, man. You've been holding back on me all these years. You've been holding back.
Hey, listen, it was like for 2 hours a week, I was in music school, and this sister would because it was her cultural background to do like Negro spirituals. We'd be singing Negro spirituals. You're my teacher. If you're my teacher, whatever you say, go. And this sister would come in and she would have a piece of music and we would go. We would just go. And it was like one of the joys of my life to be able to like just learn something new every day, every week, and share it with my teacher and struggle to how I could get to a point where I could look at a musical a piece of music and know what a note was and know how many beats per measure and that kind of stuff. And it's because this beautiful sister from Pittsburgh really shared her expertise with me.
Wow, that's incredible, man. And it's also kind of a side of possibility when I think about human beings broadly, right? Who could we be if we took the time to be an amateur again at something? I think Edward Said talked about that. You know, this idea of the amateur again. What would it mean for us to be able to do something, a sport, an art, an act that will allow us to be new and to make mistakes and to fall and to be students again, especially those of us who spend so much time out in the world at our jobs or in our households or in whatever sphere we're in, sort of taking the lead and teaching and being in charge, to go back to not knowing what the hell we doing all over again. You know, there's something incredible about that. And then there's also this thing about what it means to be incarcerated and in a place that's always trying to strip things from you, take layers of humanity away from you, in a place that's always trying to do harm, to be able to think about how even in an isolated space you could draw or sing or write or do some other, you know, artistic activity that would expand your knowledge and also give you a space, like you said, of peace and of escape and of calm. I mean, that's pretty dope as an idea.
Well, let me step out on that idea just a tad, just to show you what's possible. Now, we're in a non-contact visiting. We have glass that's but there are little like apertures on the side. You've been there, you know it, on the side where you can hear. And the sister came up one day and she was crestfallen and she was, you know, in a funky mood. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "The guard wouldn't let me bring my music up. He said, you can't do that because we're in a prison society." And I started laughing. She said, "What's so funny?" I said, and I'm laughing because I can't, like, she had been teaching me, like, notation, and it took me a while to grasp it. It really was. Cause
it's hard. I play music. It's hard.
Yes, but once I started laughing, she said, "What are you laughing at?" I said, "It's too late." She said, "What do you mean it's too late?" I said, "I got it. I already got it."
They can't take it.
And she dug it, and we were laughing together because I had it. I had it. You know, it's like a victory over the most repressive, right? The repression business, the repression industry. You know, and education is that thing, right? Art makes us human, but guess what else makes us human? Education. A true education that helps someone discover something new about themselves and the world. That too is a connection.
And right? It's no coincidence then that they're actively trying to take art out of education, as they have for decades now.
Absolutely, because art is liberating. Think about what black people did with music. When we were at our funkiest point in the world, right, in bondage, we sang, right, to lift our hearts while we were out in the fields, right? Or cutting cane or doing whatever. And those songs kept us alive. It is no coincidence that our music is a global art form that keeps people alive all around the world.
That's right. That's right. And the last thing they do is create another generation of artists. And whether it's, whether it's painters or sculptors or singers or songwriters or whatever it is, the last thing they want to do is make more of them, because those are the most free people in our society. They're the most liberated people in the world, man. So it totally makes sense.
What liberated people do? They liberate other people.
That's right. Yes.
They're like, we can't have that.
Right. God forbid.
God forbid. No. Y'all can't have that. Take it out of school. We can't afford that.
Right.
And guess what? When they did that, rap was formed, because a whole generation didn't learn music, right?
Right.
Because the churches weren't really teaching, and we weren't going to churches. So brothers began playing records and breaking it down, and then making the skipping a whole new instrument, right?
Yeah.
A whole instrument. Jay-Z says in his Decoded, they found he said, I found my father, like Malcolm X and them, on wax. They would go upstairs, get their mamas and daddies' records and listen to them. And they had Malcolm and all that.
That's a beautiful thing, man. And it sounds like, in a way, you found yourself in those music lines. As you were figuring out how to make music, you were finding new layers of yourself. Before we go, what's something you discovered about yourself through art and through music?
That I'm far more sensitive than I ever thought possible. Because art is...
You have 1 minute left.
...with other humans, but being human with other humans. And it allows us to connect through steel, through bars, through concrete. It allows us to connect heart to heart.
Wow, that's powerful, man, and that's a blessing that I wish all of us could get, and that I pray none of us need to be caged in order to get, because that ain't how it's supposed to be. My brother, it's always good to talk to you. It's always good to hear your voice.
Always a pleasure to share it with you, brother. This has been a joy.
As always, man. As always. I can't wait to see what the weekend produces for you. Hopefully it's just more genius, more brilliance, more art, and some more of them notes too, my brother. Like I said, you sang that scale, man. You threw me all the way off with that one, Doc. I didn't know you had.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
I loved it.
Love you too, boo. On the move. Yo, everybody, thank you for listening to the Classroom and the Cell podcast. This is your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Again, if you want to hear more of these episodes, just go to the official Marc Lamont Hill YouTube channel. You can check them all out. Hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications when there are new episodes, as well as all kinds of other important content on the channel. And, of course, if you're so inclined, support this channel, support our efforts to expand programming simply by hitting the join button and becoming part of the official Marc Lamont Hill official family. All right, y'all. Until the next time, I'll see you. Peace.